All right, what's up, everybody? Let's bring some more people in here. Yeah, we are live. Come on, let's go. Let me get the share link. But yeah, we'll say what's up in the chat though. Let's go live on YouTube. Yeah, so stop watching Netflix and come join if you want money this week. All right. All right, there we go. What is up, Steph? How we doing? Let's get it. Yeah, say what's up in the chat though. Say what's up in the chat. We're about to get started though. Let's see one more time. I want to see who's all in this chat. But yeah, happy Sunday, everybody. We're about to run it up tonight. Gonna talk about a few things and then we're gonna call it a night, of course. But yeah, let's get some important things because that is what we need to do, right? So yeah, what's up? Happy Sunday. We're going to prepare ourselves for this week. Tomorrow is Columbus Day, right? The markets are closed, and yeah, we have a day off, right? We have a day off, so we're gonna come into Tuesdays, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, of course, and we're gonna go ahead and crush it. But one of the most important things that we have to really look into for this week is that whole sell-off on the S&P. That sell-off on the S&P has really dropped some things, right? Really dropped some things. Did anybody get the SPY crash? Did anybody see like the way that NASDAQ or SPX, they all dropped very massively? I mean, that was a very quick drop. All right, very, very quick. So the thing with that was basically, if we look over here, it was based off Trump's 100% tariff threats. And that was something that just came in on Friday morning or in the afternoon. And once we heard that, everything tanked, right? Everything started tanking. What's up, Steph? What's up, FXJ? What's up, Ariana? But yeah, like I said, Trump's 100% tariff really what dropped the market. But it's like, I really think that we have been kind of overextended a little bit, but it was just a matter of like, yeah, when, right? Because SPY has been doing nothing but just making ups and ups and ups moves. But again, really, that's really how the market trends really, I guess we can say, just go up, is that we have to really, yeah, see new highs. But then once you see new highs, then we come right back down in a way, either if it's slow or very impulsive. But what happened on this Friday, it happened insane, right? So if I go ahead and look back onto the chart over here, and this is a 2-hour time frame, okay, a 2-hour time frame. If I zoom out, I think this is like one of the biggest crashes that we've seen on the S&P since I think we're around, what is it, like April, right? March, April. Because if I zoom out, when was April? Let me see. Over here. So yeah, February, March, April. Yeah, so April had like a very impulsive drop. So I think that, yeah, we are going to see more of a continuation down to the downside, but that's going to be like Are we going to see that this upcoming week, or are we going to see that within 2 weeks? I mean, I think that we might see it in 2 weeks, not next week. But yeah, that's just what happened really. So if I go on to a daily, you can see it much better. And look at this. That's a very nasty drop. On that nasty drop, that is like an imbalance, right? So think about it. An imbalance in the market that just made a rundown just like this, the market's going to come right back up and either fill it completely, but we have seen where they want to, let's say, hold their sell positions, and that's like right around this area right here. Okay, so if you are looking at the S&P, I would say save this level, and I'm gonna give it to you right now, which is this area of supply. Okay, so 673, right? 673, and that's the area where honestly we were looking for puts on Friday, right? But that's the area where we're like, hey, you know, we believe that there's going to be some sort of like drop, very impulsive move, or maybe not. But this is an area where we're kind of like, we're going to see a rundown. That is a supply zone. And if you want to do this with me, this is a supply zone on a 1 day. All right, so a 1 day supply, and that's this time frame. But what's crazy is that on the lower time frames, we already saw, like, I guess we can say, the shift of the direction from going up, going up, going up, but then it ran down. But what's crazy is that on QQQ though, that it was giving signs that it wanted to drop, but then I got stopped out, and I'm like, dang, you know, I got stopped out on QQQ, but I'm like, at the moment, I'm like, tariffs, Trump, momentum, let me hop into the trade, right? And so the momentum was there. And the thing is that when you are looking at these markets, what you really want to get yourself into is where there is value, right? Value meaning that you see either aggression, you see a lot of green candlesticks, or a lot of red candlesticks. So if I go back maybe on, what was it? I think, what was it, on QQQ, right? QQQ, it's the same exact thing. So look at this. So if I go into 1 hour, we were looking at it over here. So we're doing this. So let me delete this real quick. And right here. So from Thursday into Friday, right? Thursday was giving us signs of like rundown, 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 rundown. But then we had like some sort of supply zone at the top. And it was something like this, okay? So this supply zone just means that when the market comes back into that supply zone, we could come into that area and reject, right? I mean, if you look back into like Wednesday into Thursday, sell-offs. But at the same time, on those sell-offs, we left behind imbalances, which caused the market to come right back up again. So one of the key things here is that when you see imbalance in the market, which is those big drops or those big run-ups, at some point, we're going to come back and fill it. Okay. So like I said, I took a -1 trade on QQQ on Friday, but then after that, once I started seeing this shit like meltdown, I'm like, yeah, let me jump into, you know, S&P, because S&P at the time was just like looking very, very juicy just to not to take, right? So SPY was dropping, QQQ was dropping, and that really was, I would say, I'm kind of glad that kind of happened, because if you look across all stocks, they pretty much was given signs to see a sell-off as well. P would be Amazon. Okay, Amazon is one that I believe that there's going to be like more bad news coming into that company, but right now, it's still up in the air. Okay, so if I go on to Amazon real quick, but like I said, I'm expecting a rundown. So let me see. So over here. So let me delete this. Let me delete this. And all we're doing here is just looking at the market, seeing where we laid off and what can we do for the next 2 to 3 weeks, right? So look at this. This is another one, all right? Aside from the S&P and QQQ. And this is also something, you know, one of these stocks that I was covering with someone earlier this week, that we're like, Amazon, I mean, I'm feeling a little bearish on this. And there could be some more rundowns, right? So think about it. If we can make money on the upside, then we can make money on the downside, right? So what investors or traders do is that instead of buying shares, we can offload some shares and we can make money on those options when the market is going to see a pullback. Traders, investors, whatever you want to be called, is that we are looking for opportunities for us to enter and to play the game. So on this chart, on these screens, these markets, it's all a video game. We're trying to buy low, sell high, and then from the highs to the lows, and we can make money back to back. All right. Amazon, I believe that we're going to see more of a rundown. We're going to see a drop, and we're going to come down and fill some imbalances. Okay. So expect a rundown on Amazon. In that level on Amazon, and again, everybody can eat on Amazon, is because I'm expecting Amazon to hit like 190 or possibly the 180s, and then we could see a bounce. The only reason why I'm like saying that is just because, one, we have a supply zone. Two, we have an imbalance. That imbalance is like over here. Okay. In that area, we have like more room just to come back down into and then fill in completely. So when we do, hey, maybe that might be a great area to rebuy some shares. And think about it. What's upcoming, right? What's upcoming is the holidays. December, January, February. Those are the top months that these business or these retail stores do really, really well in, especially online, because everything nowadays is all online. So Amazon, like I said, I'm expecting a rundown, but I mean, it makes sense though, right? Because if the holidays are coming up and we're seeing Amazon running down, then all right, Amazon can do good revenue, good sales around those holiday times. So if that is the case, then hey, I can open up a long-term position. I can open up a leap that Amazon could, reach new highs within the next 3, maybe 6 months from now. But right now, hey, we can make money on some, shorting some stocks, and Amazon is one of them. So if you want to add Amazon into your watch list, you can, because there's nothing but more room to go. Okay. And so, like I said, the target for me that I would say Amazon would like head to would be like 190, 180. I mean, it could even go lower than that, possibly like 170. And then once it does, we can see something like this. And that is something that where we can buy shares or buy long-term calls. Okay. So that's like one of the things that also led me to be like, if Amazon is struggling inside the supply zone, then I can use this as a confluence to maybe trade SPY, maybe to trade, QQQ, for what? Not the upside, but the downside, right? So that rundown on SPY and QQQ was kind of expected, right? But if you think about it, we can really predict the future on what these stocks or what can these indices, commodities, ETFs can do just based off technical analysis. And that's kind of like scary, but also is like, all right, if I can buy a demand zone, or when the market's in a supply zone on Amazon, of course, then there can be bad news coming in on Amazon very soon, right? Maybe in 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, we can hear something bad on Amazon. And you're like, wait, the supply zone that we had like a week or two ago, it was selling off, and now we're hearing Amazon, they're getting a lawsuit or they're getting sued for something. Then maybe that's why, Amazon is dropping, right? So you can either use the technicals, you can use the fundamentals, you can use news to really just play, these stocks in these markets. So like I said, Amazon is another stock that I would say that really can, drop, but also give you a nice discounted price to buy some shares. Okay. So another one that I would say to really keep an eye on would be like OKLO. I'm not sure if anyone here traded OKLO this week, but OKLO was a stock that did numbers. And I still believe that this stock can just continue on shooting up, right? Because Yeah, there was, some sell-offs on Friday on OKLO, but again, that's just because the S&P and QQQ dropped. But if you look at this trend, it's really telling us to, keep on pushing, right? So keep on pushing. OKLO is one of the stocks that every week or two, nothing but major moves, nothing but major highs. I believe that OKLO was like talked about like all over the place, all over, I guess we can say news, these forums, Reddit, Facebook groups. OKLO has been talked all around. But the thing with OKLO is that every time that it pulls back, we can always find, or it seems like each time that it pulls back, it gives us a new high, basically. And that's what we're looking at this week on OKLO on those 4-hour time frames, or those higher time frames, let's say. But it was on the hourly picture. So if you look at this weekly time frame, like I said, this stock is going to continue nothing but just keep on shooting up and shooting up and shooting up. There is traders, there is analysts that believe that OKLO is going to hit 200 plus. Okay, if they're thinking that way, then hey, we can think that way as well. But the goal here is to really find an opportunity to get ourselves into the markets. Whether if you're going to scalp it, whether if you're going to day trade it, whether if you're going to swing it. OKLO, like I said, it's one of them that you could add onto your watch list. I'm going to keep tabs on this because OKLO, I did play some OKLO a few times this week, but I've seen someone in the Discord actually turn OKLO from $1,800 investment into like $7,000 to $8,000, and that was quite insane. Okay, quite insane. But like I said, you can do that too. Anybody can do that. But the goal here is to really understand, why are you trading these stocks? Is it based off research? Is it from projects that they're releasing? Is it based off like earning reports? Is one of these big banks are buying OKLO up? What is it, right? So that's really what you're going to find as in the stocks to trade is, hey, you got to do some research behind it. Either if it's your technical analysis telling you to, or it's signaling you to enter or to, look into it and trade it, right? Or if it's going to be like any news around this and it's telling you, hey, maybe a project or maybe they're collabing with someone, then that's something that, can lead you to enter to a trade. Something similar to that on what I'm saying here is that AMD, right? What did AMD do this week on Monday? They announced that they collabed with OpenAI, and that is what caused like AMD to just like rip like crazy. Did anybody hear about that on AMD? That AMD was connecting or like collabing with OpenAI, and I think they got like a multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar deal, and that is what like caused like AMD to like run up like crazy. But yeah, AMD, like I said, it's bullish. It's bullish because if I go in a monthly time frame, look at this, very bullish, and that's all from like, I guess we can say higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows. And each time that, the market doesn't go below a higher low and we see money coming in, we can expect some sort of good news, right? So for example, if you look at this, and if I just draw a key level, right, and the way that we do it here is that we do zones, right? We draw zones. And if the market's coming back down into a demand zone, and again, this is a weekly time frame, right? This is like the bigger picture, right? So what we're viewing is, how did the last 3 to 6 months perform on AMD, right? And that's what these candlesticks are telling us. So if we look at these candlesticks, right, on this time frame, every candlestick is a 1 month. But if we look in the last 6, 12 months, you can see that the market was down falling, and then from there it bounced. And you might be like, well, where could it bounce? Why did it bounce? Why is it holding here? Why is it running up from here? maybe there's something that's going to happen in the future. So remember, an example like Amazon, it's in the supply zone right now. And what does supply zone mean? It means that it's going to sell off. But if you look on AMD right now, it's the opposite on what we just saw on Amazon a couple of minutes ago. Each one means a different thing, but this one means that it should go up. So that's what I'm saying. It's like when you see these stocks or when you see these markets come back down to a key level, especially on a higher time frame, most likely there is going to be some sort of good news coming in for that stock very, very soon. It could be within this, like in a month, it can be in 3 months, or it can be in 6 months. So think about it. If we go back like over here, and if I'm looking on AMD on this like zone, and this zone means to, look for upside, then hey, that's what the bigger time frame is telling me here. But if I go ahead and just play this out, you can see that money is coming back into the market. Why is that? It's just because this zone means that there was previous buyers. We saw, reactions at this area. So that means that's most likely going to bounce, or maybe these traders back then are going to rebuy at these areas, or maybe they have like limit orders around that range or in that zone. And from there, we're going to see nothing but maybe a possible run up. And that's what we come in as a trader, and we go ahead and analyze. Okay, we're not going to go ahead and just throw our money just because. We want to make sure that is this level something where, hey, we're seeing some good reactions. Maybe, something came in on AMD on this month or on this, last 2 weeks during this time that caused AMD to, bounce. And if that is the case, then all right, AMD can be a stock that can, do numbers. So think about it. If you see SPY or QQQ right now just dropping, think of it like an opportunity to enter, right? Think of it like I'm buying low, but I want to do this, or my objective or my goal is to sell higher than where I previously purchased it, or where I have purchased it. And that's what it is, right? So same thing right here. If AMD at one point, its main highs was like 227, right? So let me see, 227, 227. One day, at one time, we're going to go ahead and, take that out. Do we know when? Hell no, we don't know when. If I knew when, then I'll put my whole life savings into this, and that's it, right? But like I said, in trading, you're going onto these charts and onto these screens, and you're doing research. Okay, you want to make sure where you're putting your money into. You don't want to just give away money to to these markets and just because, right? So if I go ahead and just play this out real quick, all you're doing month by month, week by week, you're seeing, why is AMD going up? Why is it doing this? Okay, right now, blast it off like crazy. OpenAI announced a deal with AMD, and that's what happened. So like I said, if we're seeing things like that especially on a higher time frame, then that's where you can be like, most likely I want to buy low when nobody wants this stock just because my technical analysis is giving me this. But then once the news or whatever drops, then that's where I can sell because I can secure my gains now. Because I know for a fact that most likely when the market makes new highs or when the news, drops, that's where everybody can take profits, because there was traders the last 3 to 6 months on AMD buying where? Here, maybe here, here. And what do you think that they're going to do? If they bought here, which is, a buy position, right? Bought, and when they see crazy rips like this, they're going to take some money, right? They're going to take some money out, and they can either pay themselves, or they can take that money and put it back into a stock that looks something similar just like this, which is like the same similar setup, but down here. So think about it. The goal here is not really to buy at all-time highs. You want to really buy when it's at great discounted prices. Okay, and this is on how you create the perfect watch list, either for the week or for the month, or it could be for the year, whatever you're trying to do. Everyone in here that's watching this stream right now, you all have different goals. You all have different objectives. You all want to utilize the stock market in different ways because that's what you can do. So, like I said, AMD, showed signs that it wanted to rip, but then out of nowhere, news came in, and then when the news came in, everybody's selling now, right? So, but yeah, that's what's happening on AMD. And then look at this, and then out of nowhere, we saw a fall right back down. And think about it. If we are looking at AMD that made new all-time highs, and what happens at new all-time highs? The market crashes, right? Or when the market makes, let's say, of course, AMD is going to continue going up, but let's just say if the market just crossed above here and made this as a new high, what usually happens at the new high? It sells right back down. But if we now look back into like the S&P, the QQQ, and now if we look back into like over here, we're like, well, now Trump is talking about 100% tariff. It aligns with like AMD's higher high and pullback. So that's why it's very, very important to keep up to date as in what's going on around the world, right? Because that's going to lead you to saying, hey, I can buy at this price, but maybe I want to hold off for a bit because maybe just Trump just spoke about 100% or slapping China with 100% tariff. Then let me hold off on, buying some AMD buys or some shares. Because the thing here is like you want to get the best out of your investment, so it's much more easier for you to resell at a great price on where you want to sell your share to, right? So, but yeah, that's just what happened throughout the stock market this week. Let me go back on our, so AMD, like I said, I still think that we can, go up a little bit. But you can see that each sell-off is going to be from a reaction. It's going to be coming from a behavior. It's going to be coming from, someone's emotions. It's going to be coming from someone's, decisions. The last, 2 days, I think, what was it? From Wednesday to like Friday, sell off, sell off, sell off, sell off, even though that we made new highs. But look at this. All this is coming from what? Traders, real money that's being withdrawn from the markets. But it's either people just, taking profits out of their portfolio, and that's it. So that's AMD. But back to OKLO though. If I go to OKLO, let me go on to 1 hour real quick. Look at this. This is something that had like, what was this? On Friday. Yeah, so was this Friday? Oh, actually, yeah. Let me go back over here. So this date was, okay, cool. So all I was saying here was that the market was going to come back down into this zone or into this range. And this is an area where I could have swung, but I didn't swing any positions on OKLO. But this is something where, I'm drawing boxes all around these screens so I can find a position where I can enter. Doesn't that sound crazy, everybody? That you can draw a box on a chart where it's going to most likely either bounce or reject. But that's going to be a decision on what you make, whether if you're going to play it or not. All right. Now, all boxes that you draw on a chart, it's going to be tradable. So in this case, if you look at this, I drew, boxes all around. And of course, there was more boxes on this screen, but I had to delete some. But each box means something, right? It just means that it's going to be like a day trade, or it's going to be like a swing trade, or it can be like a long position, right? So we've been talking about OKLO since like last week when it was like over here. Okay, so in this range, you can see on how the market ran up, came back down, tested this level, and then it just held, right? And think about it. If you bought in here, market ran up like crazy. And I believe that someone secured like a 900% in the Discord because they swung like a couple contracts. I think it was like Wednesday that they did. And then look at this. They took it to new highs. Why? Because maybe, they either took the signal or they saw the vision and they saw on how those levels held, right? So If you look at these boxes, I'm not just drawing these boxes for no reason. I'm drawing these boxes just because these areas have like money that's inside of them, as in where I believe it's going to take the market right back up, and that's why we draw those boxes or those zones. So those boxes is like where I believe that a stock is going to be at a good discounted price, where we can rebuy either the shares or place a bet or prediction where we can sell it into new highs. Okay, and that's what the whole point of the whole concept of this whole supply and demand trading. Because on OKLO, every single week is we see nothing but run ups. So there's high demand. So if OKLO is in high demand, then we should be looking for those bottom zones, which is demand zones. And that's it. All you got to do is just let the market rip, let it come back down, and go for it, right? So if you look at it over here, market rip like crazy. Do you want to go ahead and chase that? I mean, you can, especially on those lower time frames. Yes, you can get like those little small movements, but if you really want to add flexibility, if you want to have like, I guess we can lower the risk a little bit, then look at the higher time frames and just wait for a big pullback to happen, because at one point it's going to appear. So, but yeah, that's OKLO. And I think that we're going to go ahead and continue going higher, just like this. So add OKLO into your watch list for this upcoming week, because, hey, I believe that we're going to see new highs. So let me see the other ones. So that was SPY, that was AMD, and OKLO. We do have a few other ones that I want to go over real quick. But in the meantime, does anybody want me to mark up a chart of a stock that they're currently looking at? If you have a stock in mind that you're bullish or bearish in, let me know, put it into the chat, because I want to cover it for you and see if that is something that can also be on my radar so I can go ahead and trade. Because the whole goal here is to see on how we can share ideas, insights, because we want to make money as well. Everybody in here, we want to make money, right? I want to make money. So if you have a stock that you're currently looking at, throw it into the chat, because I want to look at that as well and see, what's popping, right? So that's OKLO, and that's going to be on the watch list. Okay. So now another one. All right. So now another one is going to be gold. All right. So let me delete these drawings. If you look at gold, gold has been seeing new highs, right? New highs. Gold on what was it? XAUUSD. So per ounce is now worth $4,000. Okay. So if I open up both charts real quick, let me delete this real quick. XAUUSD. So look at this. These are both charts. GLD is what we trade through the stock market. XAUUSD is what we trade in the Forex market. So we were talking about gold like 2-3 weeks ago on how this was most likely going to break out. And that's what it did right here. So after that, when it broke out, we saw nothing but just higher highs and higher lows. But the thing, like I said, every time that the market runs up, don't chase the damn highs. Wait for it to pull back, right? And this is a daily time frame. The goal here is to look for opportunities for you to get at those discounted prices and sell at new highs, right? If you are a beginner, or if you are a trader who has been struggling just for a bit, the best thing to do here is to follow a trend. Has there been a trend established? If a trend has been established, then go ahead and wait for those pullbacks, right? That's all you got to do. So same thing over here. The moment that we started increasing from 37 to 38 to 39, I mean, it was obvious that we're going to most likely hit 4,000, because FOMO, right? FOMO exists. And when FOMO exists, attention, rises. And when attention rises, then demand goes up, right? So everything that you see right now on GLD gold, there's still a lot of demand. And if these people are selling at the tops, we can find ways to rebuy at those pullbacks or those, those bottoms. So if you look at it over here, people are selling right there, right? People are selling right there. People are selling right there, right? But each time that it pulls back, it runs right back up again, even harder, right? So think about it. When it just drops and does like a little pullback, it may look like a little pullback on those like higher time frames, like the 4 hour. But if you look in the 1 minute, 5 minute, then it's going to be a different story, right? It's going to be like a very, very hard drop. But if you look at this on the bigger picture, then you can see that it only lasts for like a day or two. And then the next day or the next 2 days, it pops off even higher. So gold is like one of the ones that, to continue watching, continue looking at, because I still expect this just to, see new highs. And think about it. If the S&P and the NASDAQ somehow just stumbles and just drops, gold is going to go higher. Okay. Gold is going to go higher. But right now the level on GLD or gold would be this. And this is the bigger picture. Okay. This is like the whole bigger picture. And right now we're really respecting that level. We're respecting that zone. And all we got to do, if this wants to continue going higher, it has to do this. That's it, right? And that's on how like you are trading trends, is because you are placing your bets when it's at like lows. So think about it. SPY, it looks just like this right now, right? Just a drop. So if I just like do something like this, that's SPY, right? That's what SPY did. But then out of nowhere, they're going to buy it up again, right? And that's, really what can happen. Or what can happen is that this can do this and then drop, right? So that's why, again, like you can trade these zones, of course. You can trade these bounces on the bigger picture, but keep in mind that out of nowhere, you can put yourself in a chop. You can get yourself, trapped. And that's what usually happens in this game, right? There's no really, I guess we can say, around it. And it happens, right? So losses is something that it's like, we can say it's amazing, because you might be like, amazing, but it's something that it's needed, because, hey, that's on how the market works. That's on how the market moves. Up, down, up, down. People have to lose for other people to gain. So those other people that won that time, they're going to lose, but that loss that they lost on the trade, that money goes to you, right? So that's pretty much on how the market moves. So GLD, we're going to see more upside, in my opinion, because if I'm looking at the S&P, the NASDAQ, showing signs of like crazy sell-offs, and it could last for like another week or two, then gold is going to most likely see new highs, because they're going to put that money into something safe, which is gold or maybe even silver. Okay, so I would say keep an eye on gold. Let me see, JPM. Okay, so let me look at JPM. I'll do JPM. So let me close this. Let me go on the monthly. It's the same exact thing. So on JPM though, look at this. Find the last area where it pulled back very, very hard, right? So that area was like over here. So that's like the last pullback that it had on the bigger time frame. So the way that I'm viewing this right now, the way that I'm looking at it would be like, look for a pullback into here. Okay. But the thing is that we are going to most likely show some sort of bounce off of this level right here. And we're going to see that this week. So look at this. I'm going to mark this out really, really, really simple. So we're going to do this. So higher high, higher low, but then a higher high. But what I'm looking at here, just based off like previous setups just like this, is most likely we're going to see a bounce right here. So save this. This is a monthly time frame. We have this right here, this trend line right now that we're testing. But since we're testing that trend line, expect something like this. Come down, hold here, and bounce just a little bit. Okay? And that can happen for the rest of this month. Or this can happen within the month and a half, which would do something like this. Drop massively, and then do this. Why is just because there is a lot of liquidity that sits under these wicks. You can see it right there. And remember, people have to lose for other people to gain. People have to get stopped out so the market can continue on going up. So think about this. Liquidity is where there is highs and lows and there's stop losses on both ends, on both sides, both wicks, up or down. But also on the other side, there is other people's buy limits or their limit orders, right? Either buy order or sell order. So underneath here, there's a lot of people that are or that have their stop loss plus other people, other traders, banks, whoever, limit orders that they want to buy JPM around here. Okay, so it's really, I would say, focus on the next week or this upcoming week to see how does this level that we just drew right here hold. Does it hold or does it break through? But again, if it breaks through, then that's where you want to get in. But you want to go and say like, it's going to be like a quick move. It's going to be like a quick put. If that is something that you want to go ahead and that's your objective, then you want to make sure that this is not like really like a swing. This is more so like a short-term swing, like maybe the next day, the latest, or, that's something that I would do. But it's focus more into that day trading or that scalping once it breaks that trend line, because once that breaks that trend line, there's going to be a lot of value. And when it does, most likely it's going to come back down, fill this imbalance right here. Okay. So that is what I see on JPM doing. But a pullback is expected. Okay. Pullback is expected. But yeah, that looks good though. I mean, if you look back over here, it's the same thing, right? So look at this. Higher high, higher low. And on this new higher high, it creates like a trend line, and that's liquidity. And now let me ask you this. Do you see the same thing over here? Do you see the same trend line as in what we're just trying to do over here? Do you see it right here? And it's the same thing. So this is like a break of structure. But look at this. All right, look at this. You see when it broke below the trend line, it was like a day trade in a scalp. And this is a monthly time frame. Don't forget, this is like a whole monthly time frame. So when it broke that trend line, that was like a full month, right? 30 days of like a slight run up, a bounce, but then it ran down. But then out of nowhere on that month closure, it came back up. So think about it. In those 30 days, you could have went for puts, right? Just because maybe you thought that, yeah, this was going to go down. But then starting of the next month, it came right back up, but then it fell completely. So that's where sometimes you're like, well, I was right about the direction, but it came right back up, stopped me out, and then ran right back down. It happens, right? But you can see that when it ran down, it was there to, one, take out more liquidity, two, to get more money back into the stock, which is a fresh new orders, fresh new people, fresh new investors, and all they're doing just filling these imbalances, which is right here. Every impulse that you see on this area is just an imbalance that just shot the market right back up to the upside. But then after that, once it complete the full imbalance, then that's where the money kicks right back in. And that's what happens right here, right? So again, think about this. This, what you see right here, is what happened on AMD. It's what's happening on Amazon, but the opposite way. So just like this, right? Because when we were looking at Amazon, it was like this. And right now, Amazon is like right here, basically. And it's running down. So, but yeah, so same thing over here. If this drops, we'll most likely fall, pull back, but it's either we consolidate and drop, or maybe just make new highs and run. So the thing is, like, really the main focus is to look at this trend line right here. Okay, so that's really what's what to look at. But let's say in the next 2 to 3 months, I wouldn't be surprised if the market came back down to this demand zone down here. And if it comes back down to the area, I'm gonna see something like that most likely. So but yeah, that's JPM. All right, that's JPM. So anybody else? Yeah, anybody else? Anybody else want me to mark out a stock that they have in mind? But yeah, JPM, I kind of like a JPM. I mean, that could be like a quick rundown. Let's see, spot and HWM. This one kind of looks interesting, right? So if you look at this, it's the same thing. You have like a run up, but then at this run up, we see that we have created something like this. And you might be like, well, if the market's making highs and, you know, higher lows, and now we're consolidating, could we rip and see crazy moves, or could we run down and see like a major drop? Well, I don't know yet. I mean, I haven't really broke this down, but I can do that right here, right? And that's what the point is to break down these stocks to see, you know, is it really something that we can continue watching, or is it worth watching? And we go from there. So let's go back on a daily. I mean, right now, if I look at it, it's just consolidating, right? It's consolidating. Me personally, I really wouldn't touch this for right now unless I trade something that's current, because it's telling me that it wants to go down, but then also it tells me that it wants to go up. So the thing on this one though is that we have a lot of sellers right here, and right here. So like I said, each stock that we look at, they're going to either pop or they're going to drop. So each one has their own time to move. So if I look at this, every time that we drop, it pops off. So let me look at it in this lens, which is like something like this. Every time that it creates like a channel, somehow it pops. Every time that we create a channel, it pops. Every time that we create a channel, could we see a pop? Possibly. And then it will start doing something like this. So, so now that I just looked at it in that way, it looks like the market wants to pop, right? On Spotify. So we could see some, you know, something coming in with Spotify very, very soon. But yeah, so ChatGPT wants to be the next big platform. It won't be easy. PMG and Spotify signed new US direct licensing agreement. Spotify says user can bring Spotify into their ChatGPT conversations. I mean, look at that. I mean, so, and that was what, 6 days ago, right? Out of nowhere, there can be more news coming into like ChatGPT with Spotify, and then out of nowhere, we can see like a big pop, right? So keep tabs on Spotify, because if you were to say you want to look into something on this stock, it would be at the break above this, and that could be the one. So, but yeah, that's Spotify. HWM. So let's do HWM. I haven't heard about it, but HWM drop crazy. So most likely, we're gonna come back down and fill in some like imbalances over here. Right here. So that's very soon. So most likely a little bit lower. So that can happen this week. If not, it can happen within maybe in 2 weeks. So the thing is that if this does not drop the next 2 market days, not tomorrow, of course, because the market is closed, but if the market comes back up, right, it's most likely going to hit like a supply zone, like over here. And that could take maybe 2-3 days and start seeing something like this and then fall right back down again. So it's basically zone to zone. So from this zone to zone, this zone just means that it's going to come right back up, because remember what happens after a crazy drop? The market's going to come right back up, most likely. And then when it does that, we can see a sell-off right back down. And that's what's going to create a trend. So lower low, lower high, lower low, come right back up, and then fall right back down into the next zone. So yeah, even though that this looks bullish, highs, lows, highs, I expect this week, this upcoming one, to push right back up again and then target this zone. And that zone could mean a buy zone, because I really don't see any other buy zones down here but this one. And if that is a zone that shows you like a strong rejection, then that could be the one to start seeing something like this. So keep tabs on that. All right. But yeah, other than that, if you are wondering why this buy dropped this week, it's just because tariffs, right? Tariffs. But yeah, and if we look at the heat map, that's kind of like very, very, I guess we can say kind of bad, right? But at the same time, it can be a good thing, because if we look at Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, we do see like -3%, -2%. But yeah, all these stocks right now is going to give nothing but better setups. That's how I see it. It's going to give nothing but better setups for the week to come, right? For weeks to come, actually. Because, hey, if you don't see anything this upcoming week, and keep in mind that we have a very short week this upcoming week. So I would say maybe within 2 weeks, we can really, see where the market really wants to, head to, and whether if it's going to be the upside or the downside, then that's something that we have to continue watching. Because right now it's just a fresh new drop. And then after that fresh new drop, we don't know, as in, is this something that's good for the markets, or is this something that's bad for the market? So we have to keep up to date. So every morning, check the economic news. Every closure, once the stock market closes, see what's going on. Does Trump want to speak? Is Powell going to get on? What is it? So that's why it's very important to hop onto those daily live calls that we have, and also check those economic news events calendar. But yeah, that's this stock right here. So another stock that I would say to also watch would be like Baba. Remember what happened on Baba, right? Out of nowhere, we saw like crazy rips. Crazy rips. But the thing with Baba is that, I mean, if you look at it, I was speaking about this as well, is that every week or two, we saw nothing but like run-ups and run-ups and run-ups and run-ups. But the thing with Baba, though, it was that it left behind so many gaps. So look at this. So many gaps here, so many gaps there, so many gaps right here, gaps right there, gaps right here. And then the market just tanked. So we have a gap here, and the market just sold off. So now that they sell off, it's basically the same thing what we just see on that run-up. So think about it. I mean, once Baba finds a nice area of demand or key level, it's going to come right back up the same way that it just, that it just dropped, right? But the thing about this one now is like where, right? I mean, if we go back on a weekly, do this. Where was the last area where we saw like highs or a break of a high? Right here. So now what I'm looking for is for Baba to come back down into this key range over here, which is like 146 or maybe like the high 150s. And then once it starts finding support here, I can start looking for something like this again. Baba can be the one, right? Baba can be the one that can really, tumble a little bit lower and then out of nowhere runs up even more. So think about it. The same thing over here, right? The same exact thing. So if I drew like a key level around that range, the moment that it ripped, look at the way that it just dropped right here. That's the key right there. Everything that happened, so the things that happened in the past is what can happen right now. So look at this. When it dropped right back down very, very hard or very aggressive, look at the way that it got bought up, right? But it took some time. So it took like 2 to 3 months right here on the drop, the run up, the consolidation, and then the next run up. So think about it. If you were back in here and you saw something like this and you saw this trade and you saw the way it played out, and if we can go back in the past, you're going to take the setup, of course, right? But now the thing now is that when you see this next run up, and now that we see these the stock market falling a little bit, this can be a nice opportunity to buy maybe a stock at a key level. So if it happened here, then it could potentially happen here as well. That's it, right? So the goal here is to buy when areas where people are freaking out, panicking, and they just want to sell. We get their position, or we buy the share price at that low price, and then we sell it back into those higher prices when everybody has in high demand, right? Because if we keep buying these tips or these tops, where are we gonna have room to make money, right? Pretty much it's like those profit margins or whatever, it's gonna be way, way low. And also buying at those peaks is kind of like, it's kind of a little risky. So the thing here is like, you can do this on higher time frames and lower time frames. Okay, so the lower time frames, you're gonna get the answer, the outcome way much more quicker. But on the higher time frames, then that's where you have to wait maybe like a couple days, a couple weeks, or maybe months just to get the confirmation. So in this case right now, like I said, Baba's or anything out there that you see right now is just a fresh new drop. We need more information. We need more data. We need to see what is Trump going to say within this upcoming week. Is he going to say something? Is he not going to say something? Or is he going to say something within 2 weeks? So now the key is like that you can add into like your journal or your charts is that wait until Trump speaks again. Let me do more research when Trump is going to talk this week. And when he does, then I can use that for more confirmations to whether if this is a good area to buy or maybe not, right? So, but yeah, if you are enjoying this stream, if you are liking this Sunday night stream that we're having, like this up, subscribe if you are not yet. And yeah, we're going to keep on doing these live streams every single week, right? Whether if it's back testing, whether if it's talking about the charts, making the most out of our investments, and just looking at these key levels, right? But yeah, so is there any other stocks that anybody wants me to mark out? We already did a few. And keep in mind that we're going to have a day off tomorrow. Okay? We're going to have a day off. So, but yeah, that's Baba. And let me do, I guess we can say, we already did GLD. We already did OKLO, right? OKLO is going to go up, most likely. Let me do, we already talked about Amazon, right? Amazon most likely is going to go to shit. It might just go way lower. But I'm not saying it's like it's over. I'm just saying that we can get a great price on Amazon and take it right back up again. OTD travels, so XYZ. Let me see. Is this something I was like looking at earlier this week? XYZ, let me see. Yeah, run up. And right now we're coming back down to key levels. So really look into XYZ like over here. this is most likely going to give you like a nice bounce. So this is it. This is very, very clear. So think about it. If you look at it this way, find the area where they shot the market very impulsively, where they reacted the most. So it all started from here, right? And then it built up all these buy ups, right? All those buy ups and made, let's just say, new highs. And that's what it says, new highs right here. And then after these new highs, then it's like, now that we see a big sell-off, we are now taking all the people's buy orders from like that were buying this up at the time. And now when they're dropping the market, we're coming back down and filling all this imbalance in, right? So the key thing here is to see how the market reacts, or XYZ reacts on 72 to 71. So this area, that is like one of the key levels to really look into. And if it does something like this, a great opportunity for you to enter. But now the question is, do you want to use that green zone, which is like the bigger time frame zone? Do you want to use that zone for you to either day trade, scalp, or swing, right? The only reason why I'm saying that is just because if I'm looking at this green zone, here, and this is like a 1 hour time frame, and I'm trying to day trade it, I only need a candlestick that looks like this. That's it. And I can make like 500 bucks, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, whatever. I just need this little green candlestick and that's it. But if you're trying to swing trade it, then that's a different story. Then that's where you have to let it like do something like this. Right? So like I said, it's like swing it, day trade it, scalp it, but that green zone is going to give you a reaction, okay? Maybe not, it might not give you the confirmation or a winning setup for a swing, but it can give you like a winning setup for a day trade, all right? So it's going to come to this key level next, is what I'm saying, all right? So once it hits there, go for it. Path. Oh, in that level again, it was let me see, 72.46, and then also 71. Oh, you're looking for November option? Yeah, if that is something that you're looking for, then let it like hold a little bit and then show you like, yeah, these people are really interested in this area. So you have to look at the candlesticks, because the candlesticks is going to give you the answer. Okay. So path, right? So path. I mean, the thing with this one is that, well, I mean, it hit new lows, right? And then after the new lows, it came back into this supply zone. So that's really what's causing the market to like reject a little bit. But I would say, like, if you think that this is going to go higher, maybe because, you know, the news or someone's talking about path and they're putting their money into here, then look what's happening, right? So every week you should be looking at this stock to see whether if it's a good time to either buy or just chill for a bit. If you really think that it's going to fly up even more, you have to keep tabs on this stock. So if I look over here, UiPath CEO offloads millions in shares after that strong rally. So you got to think about it. If this CEO is offloading millions in shares, right? So he's taken out, then we can see the market pulling back a little bit. But then at the same time, there's times when we see these types of news, then we can see a run up, right? I heard the market is open tomorrow, by the way. I'm not sure. I don't think so. It could be closed. I think it's closed. So, but yeah, path, like I said, if it runs into that zone and then rejects even more, and then I would say if by like this upcoming week, we can see a rundown like over here, like this. And if it does, then most likely it's going to test a lower zone just like that. Let me go back onto a 1 hour. And it makes sense on why it could run down, because we have like gaps down here, and also we have like more liquidity that sits below here, right? So can anyone confirm is tomorrow's open? I think tomorrow is closed, right? So the stock market is closed tomorrow, correct? Let me see. But yeah, that's path. That's path. So I would say it's kind of like one of the stocks that either take the risk or just wait for more, like, I would say something like this. So we can start filling in like little imbalances in here. That's the only way. Let's see. Oscar, I would say this was like a very nice one. A very nice one at the time. It just like pumped. And if we look at this, look at this. This was like a U shape consolidation and then a rip, right? And then after that rip, then the market came back down, and most likely it's going to come back down into this zone, right? And that's what it did. And now we can see the buyers to step in. So since this is a daily time frame, right? Then I would say I don't really like on how the candlestick closed as a body, meaning that it came with full force into the demand zone. So I really wouldn't touch any buys unless it would break above here. So it would be like this this area. If it breaks above this area, then that could be like a potential nice swing to bet on the market to go up, right? And right now it's at 18.77. So if this wants to go long and just go up again without like seeing any like rundowns, then it has to break above that candle, and we'll go from there. So according to US, today is open. The bond market is closed tomorrow. Really? Let me see. I mean, I think. Because tomorrow's Columbus Day, right? Because usually it closes at Columbus Day. So no. Okay, so no, the U.S. stock market is not closed on Columbus Day. It remains open for trading on Monday, October 13th. So I was wrong. So, okay. So the market is officially open tomorrow. So while many federal offices, banks, and the bond market will be closed. Okay, so got it. So federal offices, banks, and the bond market will be closed, and the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ will operate on their regular schedules. And that is for tomorrow, October 13th. Today's the 12th. All right, cool. So that just means that there could be a possible chance that the market might be kind of choppy or might be kind of slow. And yeah, that's what could happen. Yeah, let's get it, right? So yeah, let's get it. So there's gonna be a live call tomorrow, everybody. So make sure to join into the Discord, because we're going to be live trading tomorrow if we do see some setups, right? So I think, what is it? Another one would be USAR. Let me see. USAR. I mean, we have something like liquidity grabs at the tops. Market's coming right back down. Most likely we could short the market on this one or the stock once it gets below like 33.80. If it does, then most likely it's going to target out this liquidity down here, and we'll go for like a mini gap over here, something like this. So that would be like on this stock though, USA Rare Earth Inc. So if it breaks below this so yeah, if it breaks below this level right here, most likely it's gonna fall right back down, take out this liquidity here, and also there's a lot of liquidity like over here. So if yeah, that level breaks, we're gonna see a rundown and we're gonna see a fill of 27.74. So that's the gap. And then once it gets down there, we're gonna see something like this. So yeah, watch that area. But if it doesn't and it like consolidates even more, watch like a break above like new highs, or just do something like this and it would just run up most likely. But yeah, this is something that just been like currently ripping. Yeah, this is so these three stocks are skyrocketing after Trump's latest tariff threat to China. Okay, so what is this? Producing manufacturer. Okay, so let me go back on here. So U.S. President Donald Trump on Friday threatened a massive increase in tariffs on Chinese imports after Beijing's expansion of export restrictions on rare earth elements. So this move intensified global supply chain anxieties and such as electric vehicles, electronics, and defense technologies. But in the American markets, three stocks are loving the increase in tension between the U.S. and China, and they skyrocketed after Donald Trump's latest tariff threats. So you can look at these stocks right here. For the one that asked about USA Rare Earth, right? So MP Materials, the only rare earth mine and processing facility operating in the U.S., saw its stock jump massively, right? USA Rare, right? Earth stock has been on a serious roll lately. On Friday, its stock jumped to 13%. On this 13%, which came in right after a 15% jump on Thursday. So we've seen some good movements on this stock, right? On top of that, the company's recent buyouts of less common metals and its solid place in the supply chain have given investors even more confidence. So this could be a good stock to really, lock into. Energy Fuels Inc., a company involved in the extraction and processing of rare earth elements, experienced a notable increase in its stock price, rising over 7%. So I would say these are something that we can, look into, or maybe on your end, because these are three stocks that are currently skyrocketing after Trump's latest tariff threats. So again, this tariff threat really either are helping other stocks to, go higher, and also they're going to cause a few of these other companies to plummet a little bit, right? So if you think about it, China and Amazon, right? Keep in mind Amazon. If we see, more news around like tariffs and things like that, then that means that we can see Amazon, and maybe retail, one of these stores can like plummet a little bit lower, and then these stocks to keep on rocketing up to the upside, right? So like I said, it's very, very important to check into the news and what does those news mean to a few stocks that we're watching, right? So yep, if you are watching this stock, then hey, this is something that can either go crazy if it breaks new highs, or maybe you can see like a little pullback, but just know that this company, it's a nice, something that's good with long term. So I like it. SoFi, I love SoFi, but the thing with SoFi though is that we have something like this. So the thing with SoFi is this is a demand zone on the daily time frame, but on this daily time frame, we see that every time that it comes back down to like 26 or like 25, somehow there's like a bounce, right? So if you look at this on the bigger picture, most likely we're going to see this again. But now, if it runs down a little bit more, it just means it's going to fill in some more imbalances. So SoFi on the bigger time frames, it's a very nice stock to, you know, to continue going long in. But the thing is that I would say wait a week, maybe 2 weeks. If we wait another week or two on this stock, then that would either show us one, it'll grab all the liquidity at the bottoms and see something like this. And then by the second week, or maybe in 3 weeks, we can start seeing a pickup just like that. And that's what I see. Just because we did create like this trend line, you know, level here. And this is something where I would just give it a week or two. Because right now I'm like, yeah, I can get myself into here, but it's kind of too narrowed, but also it's kind of too risky just, you know, based off the price action, the way that the candlesticks look as of now. And just got to be careful just based off like this movement here. Okay. So, but yeah, that's SoFi. Okay. That's SoFi. Let me go back into like lower, well, not lower, but let me just put this right here. So it'll be something like this. And that's like the level that we're currently like holding right now. Here, here, and also here. So these are the levels. So on these levels here, we're holding. But if it breaks down, then of course, there's going to be a lot of volume kicking in on that. And it's going to do something like this. And then out of nowhere, something like that. So look into that too. And this is a daily time frame, right? So a daily time frame. And if it does break below that trend line, most likely it's going to go right here, right at this level. And that's like the next demand zone. All right. So, and that level would be 22.92 and also 21. So 21.57 and 22.92. Okay. So that would be SoFi. Another one that I would say to look into would be like Snow. So last week, I left like a level like right here. And on this level was showing me that most likely Snow is going to break out. And then out of nowhere, market just popped off. So the thing on Snow though is that with this like showing an increase of like new highs, I see that the market on this one is going to do nothing but just like go up, just because we have like, yeah, a nice sell-off, but back into areas where it popped off at the time. And this is back on Tuesday. But when it popped off, look on how the market came back. And if the market somehow comes right back up again and breaks this new high, then that's going to be like a nice area where I can enter for like a swing. So if you look at this, this is a weekly time frame. And this is something that's like giving you that U-shaped type of pattern or that U-shaped type of setup. So, and if it does do that, then hey, we have more weeks or more months to go for a nice upside. So if I go into monthly, delete all this real quick. Look at that. So if I put like a level over here, nothing but holding, right? Nothing but holding within the last 12 months. So 12 months was like around here. And from here to here, amazing moves, right? Amazing moves. And now all of a sudden right now, we're like doing something like this. Within 2 to 3 months from now, we can see Snow seeing new highs. And this is something that we've seen similar to like, remember HUT and also HUD. And mentioning HUT, HUD is blasting right now. So if you look at this, it's the same thing what we just saw in Snow, but this one is another one that can just like go even higher. So if I go into 1 hour, right now HUT is at discounted prices, and this is like a nice key level setup. So you can look at the difference between this stock and some other few stocks. This one is at like a nice demand zone, And this can be something that can like see like a nice bounce. And that's what I'm looking at. And I'm liking this one though. Look at this one. When it came back down to this demand zone, you can see it didn't close as a body, but it closed as a wick. And that means that there's a lot of people interested around HUT, around like $40. At the highest point, it was like 51 at the time. And think about it, that's like a $10, $11 difference. So if I could get myself into here, I'm gonna take it to new highs and start hitting like that 52 or that 54 mark. So that's one that I can add onto the watch list, and I believe I have it on here. No, I don't have it on here, but I can. So I think at the time I did. So yeah, there you go. So let me just put it right here. But yeah, we have a few stocks to watch. And this looks good, very, very good on the weekly too. So let me go on a daily. Yeah, so even on a daily looks good too. Yeah, this is just like like I said, everything right now has a fresh drop, and that's it. And we need actually, Monday, Tuesday to play out. And I thought tomorrow was closed, but it looks like the market's going to open. So we'll find out more about tomorrow and see how the market reacts. And I think if I look on SPX 500, the market's pushing right back up. So this is right now. So if you look on the right-hand side, it says market open. Yeah, the market looks like it's like pushing right back up, and you can see it's fixing the whole imbalance that we had, right? So we can fill that in maybe tonight. Maybe we can wake up tomorrow on the S&P like all the way up here, and we'll see what happens, right? So right now, I think there is people right now live trading SPX or ES that they are predicting this to go right back up again. And why? Because maybe they're on those like lower time frames, and they're trading this whole like big value move up to the upside. And look at this. So whatever we just saw in like HUT, right? It's the same thing like what we see right now in like this very low time frame, and people right now are day trading this. So, but yep. So if it worked just like this right here on SPX on a 1 minute, then think about what can HUT do on that hourly or that 4-hour time frame. Possibly the same exact thing. So right now, what we just did on this stream, we went ahead and just looked at a few stocks on the bigger picture, but it's not just for tomorrow, but it's for the rest of the week, right? For the full week, maybe for 2 weeks. Okay. So save those, rewatch this stream. I'm kind of done. But yeah, other than that, I'm going to, prepare and get ready for tomorrow. Thank you all for being part of this live stream. I appreciate it. Every, support counts, and I appreciate it all. And if you haven't watched any of the YouTube videos that I posted recently, go ahead and do that in the meantime. And let's prepare, right? Let's prepare. So light this up, subscribe if you have not yet, and let's kill it this week. All right, let's kill it. So make sure to have a game plan, have rules, have a checklist, so you can come into these markets this upcoming week with pure confidence, and we're gonna go with it with ease. Okay, and if you're part of the group, perfect. I'll see everybody in the live call tomorrow, and we'll find out what we can live trade and make money on. Okay, so other than that, thank you all. And I'll catch everybody next week or tomorrow, actually. Okay. So have a good night, everybody. Take care and stay safe. And I'll see everybody tomorrow. All right. Peace.